It was nice hanging with you the other night, watching the game. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Hopefully, you had a good time.
Casey enjoyed herself. It was good food, good peeps.
Good. Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. Jeff here. Brad, what's going on, dude?
Not a whole lot. Just coming off a Manchester United tie here. Pretty disappointed, but you know the show goes on to Arsenal this weekend. So moving right along. Penguins up next at 7.
Arsenal's number 1 in the Premier League right now.
They are. They've only lost one game in the Premier League this year, and it was 3-1 to Manchester United.
Oh boy. Boy. You feeling pretty good?
You know, I was, but Casemiro just got suspended for his 5th yellow card, and we tied Crystal Palace, who were in 12th, not less than half hour ago. So also I lost some money on it too. So, you know, I'm not dragging too bad. Helping pick me up is I finally found a whiskey I like to drink on the rocks here. No surprise, it's Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey.
Where'd you find it at?
As you can see, the bottle's over halfway gone, boys. Yeah, not all today. Drink responsibly, but Twisted Tea. Shout out.
Where did you find the whiskey at?
I can get it at Kroger, Rite Aid, your local. I think they're coming to gas stations. I don't know if it's limited time, but I'm going to get to Kroger and buy me a few more. But Twisted Tea strikes again. I mean, they don't miss.
Is it tea?
It is Twisted Tea Sweet Tea Whiskey. It is 65 proof, 32.5% alcohol. Chilled on ice. My parents, shout out Bloody and Tracky. They got me these nice whiskey glasses, little ball ice maker, and yeah, finally found something I can enjoy.
You feel like a rich guy drinking whiskey straight now.
I don't know if I feel like a rich guy because a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, sweet tea, that's for the you're soft," and it's like, I've never claimed to not be soft. You see me fighting anybody? You don't.
Yeah.
I go with it. For those of you who don't know, my dad's name is Brad. My mom's name's Tracy. Tracy was mispronounced once at Christmas as Tracky as a joke. It stuck. And my dad's gamer tag growing up was Bloody Bullets. I'm a junior. He's a senior. I'm not going by Little Brad. So he's Bloody. I'm Brad. That's just how it goes.
Yep. So Chargers are up 27-0 on the Jags.
Yes, they are.
And the Jags storm back and win 31-30. They outscored them 31-3 in this first half and became the first team ever to win a playoff game with a -5 turnover differential. Where did it go wrong for LA? Let's start there.
I really think the head coach has always been a reason they've been in decline. Now they fired the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach, so they're sticking with Brandon. Maybe they can turn it around. But I think a lot of people are just going to sit here and say, don't beat around the bush. You know, it's Justin Herbert. Quarterback can't be spotted 4 picks, score only 3 points in the second half, and expect to be let off the hook because, you know, let's exclude Trevor Lawrence that just beat him, and let's exclude Lamar Jackson who is hurt and hasn't played in the playoffs. If you want to, everyone's new thing nowadays is let's look back and draw comparisons on who's who. I don't care which one's which, but let's just say Brady Montana is Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. And let's put Big Ben as Josh Allen. That means that Justin Herbert is Phillip Rivers. Always going to be good. Always going to put up hella numbers in the regular season. But come crunch time, he's not cut out for it. Now, I know he played well in the Rose Bowl in college, but at the professional level, I mean, they couldn't do anything on offense. And I just feel like at this point, a lot of people say, like, yeah, Justin Herbert struggled, and they're not going to deep dive on it. But could you imagine if Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes lost this game up 27-0? The world would fall down as we know it. It's not a good look for Justin Herbert, especially with the amount of talent in the AFC. If Russell Wilson gets the right coach, if Lamar Jackson's healthy and still in the Ravens, Tua's playing for the Dolphins the second half of the season there mostly. There's a lot to be said, but it's a tough look on the Chargers when you look at all the playmakers and all the good players they have. And to give up a lead like that, it's not good. It's nothing but bad for the Chargers, and you have to feel like the Jags are in house money.
So there's 8 teams left in the NFL playoffs right now, and one of them has a defensive head coach. The rest all have offensive head coaches. The one with a defensive head coach is the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is leading the league in turnovers, and with interceptions and fumbles, is 32 now to date. Brandon Staley is a defensive head coach. Justin Herbert has had some struggles. Had lots of shine, but some struggles. I have seen nothing that tells me that Justin Herbert's the problem. Just because you can't score in one half, he scored plenty of times in the first half. Just because you can't score in a half of football, a second half, to be fair, when there's quote unquote halftime adjustments, all that other shit. I think it's extremely unfair to put it all on Justin. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of things that go into a football game: time management, turnovers, play calling. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that made this game kind of get sideways. But one of the things is the fact that the defense allowed 4 straight scoring drives. Okay? And Brandon Staley is a quote-unquote defensive head coach, but yet their defense is abysmal. I don't know. I don't want to put it all on Herbert. I don't want to put it all on Staley, but I think Brandon Staley is the problem in this team. The reason I gave, and I'm pretty sure you backed me up or agreed, or the reason we both picked the Jags is because they had a head coach advantage, not a quarterback advantage. In my opinion, everybody wants to automatically crown Trevor over Justin. I'm not there. Personally, I'm not there. But it was a clear head coach advantage, Jacksonville over LA. And Brandon Staley also, call it whatever you want, he was playing starters in the last game of the year when they couldn't go anywhere, and Mike Williams got hurt. It's just like this is stupidity. It's stupidity of its finest. We can go ahead and blame Herbert because he's a quarterback. The quarterback gets all the credit and all the blame. So I kind of fall on there, but at the same time, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not blaming Herbert. This team's not a playoff team without Justin Herbert. Period.
I love Herbert, and my love doesn't depreciate, but there's something to be said after 4 picks, and the commentator says, man, Trevor Lawrence's confidence has to be shot. And he comes out and leads 4 straight scoring drives. I know there was running involved, and he's got the coach, but like, I'm not saying it's a depreciation of Justin Herbert for me personally, but I really love what's going on with Trevor Lawrence. He really didn't have.
Fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I mean, he went to Clemson, and he got nothing but hate, especially in our area, because it was either Bama fans or Ohio State fans, and all he did was play. And then he's coming into the NFL, and he's like, look, I'm good, but the NFL isn't the only thing in my life. And everyone's like, does he want it? Then that rookie year with Urban Meyer, he goes through the ringer, and he gets a coach who supports him. And after half the season of football, he turned it around. And he's been nothing short of a top 5 quarterback the last 8 weeks we've seen in the NFL. And it sucks looking around the AFC as a Steelers fan, seeing how good these quarterbacks are. But I look at, I separate it now. Maybe you guys who are listening share with me in the whole gambling thing, or maybe not. But when the Steelers are playing, I hate the team they're playing. Let's kill them by 30. But I love the NFL, the fact that I can turn on any game and see good quarterback play and good football. And yeah, you can't put it all on Herbert. Healthy amount of blame there because he got spotted. Great field position the whole first half. And, he took advantage of it. Good for him. But the team as a whole has something to figure out. And it seemed pretty sure that the owner thought, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, let's fix this offense. How many calls is it on Brandon Staley? I mean, their whole niche is going for it on 4th downs and being aggressive. And it seemed like they turtled that whole, pucker your butt, get scared, get nervous. It seemed like they ran from the moment as to where, like you pointed out, that me and you said before the week, we didn't know it would play out like this. But there's a quarterback and a head coach that have both been there and done that in the biggest moments. And they were both on the Jags, and it showed more than ever. It showed more than ever for the Jaguars, and they have to feel so good about where they're at in the AFC South.
Yeah, I guess that's my final point because we've gone long on this. I'm just not trying to tear up Justin Herbert because he didn't lose to Matt Ryan. He didn't lose
He also
to
lost
Kirk
by 1
Cousins.
point. He lost by
1 point on the road to
playoff.
Trevor Lawrence.
Correct.
And a quarterback or a coach that just won the Super Bowl literally like 4 years ago.
Yes.
Like, let's settle down on Justin Herbert. Like, he's taking some flack. I think this is more Stanley. Truly, I do. I think I'm shocked Brandon didn't get left in Jacksonville, and they fired everybody else except him. So, especially and we talked about this last week on episode 200. Sean Payton lives in LA, is a available head coach, and you didn't fire him and try and get to him?
And they announced before the firing, it'll take a mid to late round first pick. Hey, how about 22? What are you doing? We're going to look back on the Chargers in 10 years at the fact they've been the same team for 30. We're going to look back in 10 years at now that they've been the same team for 30 years. And they are in a really, really dangerous spot because of their division. If the Broncos figure it out, good luck to the Chargers. If the Broncos figure it out, good luck to the Chargers.
So, Vikings-Giants. This was a game that we had kind of disagreed on. I thought the Vikings would win in a one-score game. It was a one-score game, and they lost. Can't speak enough about what Brian Daboll has done. I mean, I think this game had his imprints all over it. There's been something shared around. I don't know if it was you or who shared it.
The Giants thing on the Facebook page was me.
Do you happen to have it in front of you, or can you pull it up briefly?
I can pull it up in the next 5 seconds here.
There's too much here to not share it on the Facebook page. But basically, what I'm getting at,
I got it in front of me right now. I'll just say
read it off. This is crazy.
The Giants last season were 4-13. They signed a total of 2 free agents on multiple year deals in the offseason. One of them was the backup quarterback. Their highest paid offensive player, Kenny Golladay, had 6 catches in the regular season. They're in the divisional round of the playoffs. And what you can couple with this, what everyone can see, before the season, everyone, including Jeff and I, thought the Giants were going to be bad. I don't blame us or anyone who agreed for it. I commend those who didn't. And everyone wanted to anoint the Bills champions. I didn't, but we all thought 13 wins minimum. But, Chiefs, Bengals, they're still teams. Brian Daboll left Josh Allen, and there has been no quarterback who's declined more than Josh Allen, which is crazy because he's declined the most, I think, and he's still a top 5 quarterback. Speaks to how good he was. Daniel Jones was dead in the NFL, and he just put up 300 yards on the Minnesota Vikings in a divisional game. Brian Daboll, offensive guy, came into New York. And I know I've gotten 2 comments on that post. Anthony, Andrew. Wow, shocking what coaching can do. I get that. But you don't always hire the right coach and it works. Great coaching is very impactful, and you guys are right in that sense. But it's not something that's easy to find or always the right decision. New York got Brian Daboll. They're going to sign Daniel Jones. They're going to sign Saquon. This offensive line, especially in the running game, moves bodies.
Which, by the way, another aspect of their team that people wrote off.
The defense is a bunch of A-, B+. They don't have that one guy. Maybe Kayvon Thibodeau will be that. Maybe their defensive lineman. Who knows? But they have no true, that's where you attack them. And be careful. They're talking about free agent trading, and I'm getting ahead of myself here just a little bit. It's a tweet talking. If this team finds a way to grab DeAndre Hopkins, or if Justin Jefferson can't get an extension done with the Vikings, or if OBJ wants to return at full health, this team is very close from being elite. I think they're really good. But they're about to play the Giants this weekend. And you tell me after seeing 2 divisional playoff games this weekend, the Eagles, I'm sorry. But you tell me after seeing 2 divisional games this weekend, the Ravens with the backup quarterback at the Bengals, the Dolphins with the backup quarterback at the Bills playing the way they did, don't tell me the Eagles aren't sweating a little bit. They
1,000% there.
They ran 30 plays of 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 QB sneaks, and they did it at over 90%. Jalen Hurts' shoulder, are they going to be able to continue to do that? He threw 3 picks in the last 2 games of the season that he played in where he was hurt. I still like the Eagles, but I'm just saying this Giants team, we all have closet teams. Not that we know we're going to be good, but that we want to do good. Everyone knows the Giants have been one of mine, Saquon. They're one of my favorite teams in the NFC, but we're not going to predict next week yet. But this game against the Vikings, and I talked about it. I don't want to toot my own horn, but, we have a podcast. We say a lot of things. I was with a lot of people. The last 3 weeks of the seasons, they showed if you're willing to put other guys on an island and make them say, hey, you have to win your one-on-ones because we are doing everything to take away Justin Jefferson. This Vikings offense struggles. Negative 19-point differential, tremendous regular season. Good for the Giants. I don't. You can have your take. I kind of rambled there for a minute after the post, but
no, I think ultimately we agree. There's a lot of factors with this Giants team, and they're not done. So I don't want to talk about them like they're going into the offseason already, because that's the Vikings. The Giants, as you alluded to, first off, anytime you play a divisional foe in a playoff game, you have to be on high alert. Also, and nobody's talking about this, in the last several years, and I wish I would have done the research prior to this pod, shame on me, the number 1 seed that gets a first-round bye hasn't gone well. The last several number 1 seeds have either been scared or eliminated. It has not gone well. I just think that the Giants pose a very big threat to a team that's gotten blown out basically twice by the Eagles. They haven't played close games. I don't know. We'll talk about that game in a minute. I wanted to briefly talk about Kirk Cousins. Go ahead.
I just didn't want to move on from this game yet. You can go on Kirk Cousins. I just wanted to get a few things out before we move on to the next game.
So the one thing I wanted to make sure we talked about was Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins played a Kirk Cousins game. I think he threw 75%. I think he threw over 300 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Typical Kirk Cousins game. This came down to crunch time, and he threw on a 4th and 8. He threw a 3-yard pass. I think it's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. It's inexcusable. To a tight end. It's not even like he threw it to Justin Jefferson. You have a comment. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to get sarcastic with that comment. It is inexcusable. We went over it at B-Dubs, my sarcastic comment. We're going to get over it for the show. Yeah, it's a terrible play. It's a panic button hit.
I just picked up on it.
Yeah, it isn't inexcusable. Use your head, but it can't happen. It can't happen. Kirk Cousins, I did have a post about the age of the quarterback. So we're talking about these young quarterbacks, and they're coming. And they're here. They're not coming. They're here.
Yeah.
Okay? We talk about Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Quarterbacks who are still putting up the numbers, but it does seem like they're starting to get left behind, but I wouldn't write them off. But there's 3 quarterbacks who are in that middle window. In my opinion, that's Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, and Kirk Cousins. You can count Geno Smith. Deshaun's a little bit younger, but it seems like he's been in the league 8 years. Yeah. But they all struggled this year. And maybe they can turn it around. Kirk put up numbers. Russell didn't get the dubs for whatever reason. But Kirk Cousins, I don't know, man. There's a reason I like him and don't love him. There's just a reason you like him and don't love him.
Here's the reality. This is the reality. Regular season, 1:00, bet your life on him. Any other window during the regular season or the playoffs, he cannot be trusted. He might win. But he cannot, under any circumstances, be trusted. And if that's somebody you're trying to go forward with, I feel bad. And I'm speaking about my own team here. Mac Jones, I've said on multiple occasions, I tweeted this 2 days ago. His ceiling, in my opinion, is Kirk Cousins, and that doesn't make me feel good. I don't like that. I'm ready to move on. I want other things. I either want Lamar or Tom Brady. I'm not talking about that right now. But I'm telling you, as a guy that has seen a player play 2 years, he's supposed to be our franchise quarterback. And what my opinion is of him is he's ceiling Kirk Cousins, and I don't like that after just 2 years. So these Kirk Cousins quote unquote fans, or if you're a Vikings fan or you're a former Washington fan, you had to endure this. At 1 o'clock, Kirk Cousins is great, but all your games aren't at 1, especially not playoff games.
Kirk Cousins is great, but you're going to need your kicker. You're going to need a late sack. You're going to need
a loaded team. You need so much, and it's not how I'd want to progress as a franchise. Just me personally.
Yeah. The last thing on this matchup that I want to leave off with is just I want to give my flowers to Saquon Barkley again. He was a monster at Penn State. It was a number 2 pick in the draft. Yep. He came in and dominated. He then tore his ACL. He came back and had a fluke ankle injury, and a lot of people were ready to give up on him. Before the season, Brad, who is your offensive player of the year? I think my dark horse is Saquon Barkley. Who's your leading rusher? I think my dark horse is Saquon Barkley. People aren't talking about him. If you were to take this same Giants team, Daniel Jones, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Daboll, and it was Christian McCaffrey, you'd say, well, they got CMC. This team, watch out. If they had Derrick Henry, you'd say, they have Derrick Henry, watch out. Saquon is in that category. Saquon is that type of player. People are like, man, I don't know how they're doing it. They just have this mediocre to good defense and like this no-named offense. No, they have Saquon Barkley, and he showed up against the Vikings. He didn't cower. No, he scored their first touchdown. He was there all game, receiving, rushing. This offensive line wants to run block. They are susceptible to the pass rush, which is where Daniel Jones running is coming clutch. They need to shore that up. But running the football, this team moves bodies, and Saquon takes advantage. If this defensive line of the Eagles doesn't play up to par, Saquon can win football games. I want to give him his flowers because he's all the way back, and not a lot of people have talked about him enough this season, including us. Shame on me. Saquon Barkley, man. Even if they go down this weekend, they're a Final 8 team, and there's no way anyone predicted them having 8 wins on the season. So good for Saquon, good for Brian Daboll, and good for the Giants. And it speaks to that locker room. I've heard this on Talk Show too. It speaks to the locker room that Kenny Golladay hasn't given up. He threw some big blocks out there on some big runs. He's still running routes. They got rid of Kadarius Toney, who seems to be a playmaker before Kenny. The team is bought in, and they're buying on character more than production in some cases. And I think that speaks volumes to this locker room and how this team is just a unit, man. And it's scary to play them.
Yeah, I want to point out something real briefly. So Barkley's first year was 18. He had a great season, 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns, average 5 yards a carry. The very next year, he took a step back in carries and yards and touchdowns. He had 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns at 4.6 per carry. 2020 was pretty much out for the year. He only took 19 carries for 34 yards, so not great. And then he was hurt all year. The following year, very banged up, couldn't stay on the field, took 162 carries for less than 600 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaged only 3.7 a clip. It seemed like he was either hurt or trending down. To your credit, all the way back. Career high carries, 295 for a career high rushing, 13-12, and then just shy of his career high touchdowns, but he had 10 this year. He was a dog, and he didn't have the 91 catches like he had his rookie year, but he had 57, which is second best in his career. So he is all the way back. He's a dual threat back, getting all the yards, all the carries. Yeah, definitely deserves to be in that top tier back, but he has to stay healthy.
Daniel Jones was taken in the first round. Maybe too high, but he was at 6. He was taken in the first round. And people will point out, yeah, he's had like 3 head coaches and 4 offensive coordinators. So has Saquon Barkley. Brian Daboll came in, and they played the Titans, and it was 19-20. And he said, we're going for 2, and we're giving it 2-6. Saquon scored that, and Daboll and Saquon shared an intense moment on the sideline. And from then on, it showed belief. Saquon knew. Saquon, knew he had to believe in himself because not a lot of people did after the injuries. And Brian Daboll came in and didn't blink at him and gave him support, and that can go a long way in a team setting. And I love watching this Giants team, man, and they're so easy to root for.
One more thing before we start talking about this weekend's games. Cowboys Bucks. We got together for this one at B-Dubs. We both picked the Bucks. I thought the Bucks would look better than they did. I wasn't shocked by a Cowboys win. As a matter of fact, last week on episode 200, I told you that I thought the winner of this game is going to be a threat to the Niners, and I also said that the Cowboys were a threat to make the Super Bowl with a win. I stay with that. I don't know how you currently feel about the Cowboys. Obviously, we'll talk about the games here in a second. Tom Brady looked pretty bad. Ultimately, I think he's played his last down with the Buccaneers. We'll talk about his future later. What do you think about the Cowboys after this game? Did they beat up on a bad team, a good team? Where are you at as far as the Cowboys judging them?
This may sound a little weird, a little different. They beat up on a playoff team. I don't care how you got there.
Agree.
The regular season's over. Playoffs have started. You made it. You're a playoff team. I don't care if you're 2-14 to win your division. You're a playoff team at home.
Yep.
The Cowboys beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys, at every turn that they've been able, they've proved me wrong on my preseason prediction. I've come along through my rankings, and I would venture to say I love the Cowboys in terms of what they pose as a threat. Their defense, their ability to run, they have a good receiver, their tight ends do work. I would go as far as say I love them. Unfortunately, in the NFC, there's only two teams I love more, and they'd have to beat both of them on the road. So I don't think they're going to get to the Super Bowl. But I have said for weeks, and it's cliche, if Dak doesn't turn the ball over, they can beat anybody. They go as Dak goes. And there's some teams where you're like, oh, well, that's always, the 49ers don't go as Brock Purdy goes. They can carry him. So the Bills don't necessarily go as Josh Allen goes. They can carry him. The Cowboys go as Dak, like with Dak. So do they have a chance? Absolutely. But to go to the Buccaneers, to go to the 49ers, then what I presume to be Philadelphia, could you imagine looking back, they beat Tom Brady. I don't care when it was. They beat Tom Brady. Then the 49ers at home were on an 11-game win streak. And then the Eagles with the best record in the NFL. And then played Patrick Mahomes, whoever it is from the AFC. I think the Cowboys have a chance to do something special. They just won their first road playoff game since before I was born. That's pretty crazy. I've never seen it. Here I am, 27. I saw it. But yeah, Zeke's running hard. Pollard's a problem in space. CeeDee Lamb is giving your best corner the business. Dalton Schultz is showing up. Gallup's good for 2 big plays a game. They've got a good kick returner. Their front seven has nightmarish talent, and their back end is very opportunistic. So Mike McCarthy hasn't been in question on time management since last year in the playoffs. We do have to remember, in a tight situation, Dak ran the ball for 4 yards to end the game last season. But man, some people will say, yeah, the Bucs never had a chance. Tell you what, it wasn't 18-0 at half chance. That's not what people thought. It wasn't some garbage time touchdowns to lose by 17 points, no chance. The spread was 2.5. FanDuel's not usually that wrong. Shocking performance by the Bucs, but I'm putting that more on an impressive performance by the Cowboys. And kudos on Mike McCarthy to handle those 4th downs in the kicker situation right. You keep Brett. You don't fire him. Up until that point, he's 133 for 136 on extra points through 100 and whatever games.
Those to be numbers, fair, kickers almost don't count in that situation. We're sitting there, we're watching the game. The first one, we're like, oh, we missed it. The second one, like, oh, we missed it. I said, well, they can't trot him out there again. And then when they did, I told you, I was like, he's going to miss it. It's in his head. Kickers get in their head. It's so bad. And by that point, we're like, oh, they're literally trotting him out there the 4th time. And we're both like, he's going to miss it. And he missed it. It's like.
When the Cowboys hit a 4th and 7 and they need a 44-yard field goal and Brett puts it through the uprights, we're going to move on here. it'll look back on his career. It'll be something he's on a rocking chair and he can laugh at because they won the game. But they handled that correctly. And everyone really cheered in the fourth quarter when he hit that extra point. It's behind him. I got one. We're going to do it in practice a bunch of times. Hey, kicker or holder, snapper, it's not on you. My bad on that one. He's a veteran. He'll be okay. But we'll get to predictions later. Focusing on this game, it was an embarrassment for the Bucs because of how good the Cowboys played. It's not like they got bailed out. They forced a lot of the mistakes that happened. Loved what I saw out of the Cowboys. You can't have any complaints except some Cowboys fans who will be caught up on the kicker.
Yeah. One side topic before we start talking playoff games here. Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show basically
just
said,
real quick.
Go ahead.
There was two games I didn't talk about. Bengals were favorites and beat a backup quarterback. Bills were favorites and beat a backup quarterback. We'll see what they're made of in the next round. Bengals and Bills, guess what? They play each other. It seems like their first real playoff game, and everyone's like, oh, they struggled. What happens next? They played divisional opponents. They played backup quarterbacks. They did what they're supposed to do and win. We'll see what happens next week. They're going to play each other.
Yeah, the main reason I didn't bring those teams up is because we're going to talk about them here briefly, and because all those teams were favored in the game. While close, they were never really in doubt.
Exactly.
So, Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show basically stated, I don't have the exact quote, but basically saying, if I feel like if I was on another team in the right situation, I could be competing for another MVP, rather than saying I could be competing for a playoff or competing for a Super Bowl or competing to win. He just simply says I could be the MVP. Say no more. Literally, that's what I've always said about Aaron Rodgers. He only cares about Aaron Rodgers. It was the most Aaron Rodgers type sentence I've ever heard in my life. This is where I bring up Tom Brady. That would literally never, ever, ever come out of his mouth. Ever. Opinions.
Yeah, we talked about this briefly at B-Dubs too. And it's like we talk about Brock Purdy or Kirk Cousins is who he brought up. It's like Kirk Cousins' production. He can be Kirk Cousins and be paid the way he is because he says the right things.
Yep.
If Kirk Cousins had Aaron Rodgers' attitude, he'd been out of the league 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers, to his chagrin, is so fucking good at football that he's never had to not be a prick. I mean, that's just how it is, plain and simple. So yeah. I believe in his mind saying, I don't know if he said on another team. Did he say on another team or did he say in the right situation?
I think the words were in the right situation, but yeah. I think he even maybe implied on another team.
In the right situation, I believe in his mind, he believes, which I don't necessarily disagree with, and I don't love Aaron Rodgers by any stretch of the imagination. But if Aaron Rodgers is playing at an MVP level, that team is a Super Bowl contender. Like, he is so self-confident, and maybe rightly so, and maybe to some people overconfident, and he shows that in the wrong ways at times. But he is so good that if he is an MVP candidate, that team is a Super Bowl contender. What team is that, Brad? I don't know. Where's he going to go, Brad? I don't know. But if you had to ask me, knife to my neck, that's too much of a financial decision on the Packers. That's where he's going to be next year if he is anywhere. He either hangs him up or he's a Packer. I don't know how any team can take on that money in the right situation that they don't feel their quarterback is enough. Everyone will point to, well, what about the 49ers? They've got their quarterback. They don't have the money for it. Well, what about the Jets? I don't know. Maybe. What about this team? Again, it's just too much speculation. I think he may be a Packer, but I don't know. So I know a couple people, maybe even myself at times, in certain situations can be criticized for overly confident. You want your quarterback, go Seahawks, Russell Wilson. You want your quarterback, Tom Brady. Oh, I had 5 billion yards and 50 billion touchdowns, but it's because of my teammates and offensive line. That really does sound good. But Aaron Rodgers comes out, I had 4 touchdowns because I put the ball exactly where it needed to be all the time because I'm great. Like, there's different personalities in people. But again, if Kirk Cousins said this, you wouldn't put up with it. But unfortunately, from shoulder to fingertip, he may be the most straight-up talented quarterback of all time. He's certainly in the conversation. Do I like it? No. If Aaron Rodgers September 8th was a Pittsburgh Steeler, I'd say I love it. Not that I hate Kenny, but Aaron's just that kind of guy. He's always been an interesting situation. He's towards the end of his career. And although the Packers were bad or good at times, you don't ever want to play Aaron Rodgers on a football field. You just don't. I know that it can be weird. Sometimes he gives up. Sometimes this. It's been awesome to watch his career. His only Super Bowl came against the Steelers. I watched every snap. It's unfortunate, but at least Charles Woodson got one, I guess. AJ Hawk, good for you. But I think he's a Packer or his cleats are hung up for good. He is about Aaron. I think looking at what happened to Brett Favre going other places and that, I don't think it appeals to him. If he goes other places, it's a beach on some island watching waves, indulging in whatever he likes to do. He likes doing some weird stuff. He's an interesting guy. If you watch Pat McAfee,
Money's just energy to him. So
yeah, exactly. So, I understand $50 million is nice. Another $50 million is even nicer. But he's got money. He's single. He's kind of a loner. He's a floater. If he's not a Packer, he ends it as a Packer. But I think he'll be under center as a Packer next year. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, anybody that's sitting here today asking themselves, why do you need $50 more million has never had $50 million.
If you were at home and you looked in your wallet and you had two folds, and one of them had a 50 and the other one was empty, it'd be pretty sweet to have a 50 in both folds, huh? That's not a super complex idea. It's pretty straightforward.
Oh, gosh. $50 million is a lot, even to somebody that has $1 billion. Just throwing that out there.
Also, they lost to the Lions and didn't make the playoffs. They're trash. Let's not act like they didn't win like 7 freaking games out of their last 8 or 9. Like, they had young talent. Christian Watkins became like a guy. They were mixing and matching offensive linemen, it seemed like, all season. The defense really came around, and the second time they played the Vikings, blanked them. They're going to have a draft pick in the first round. Aaron Rodgers returns to the Packers. Ain't nobody saying I can't wait to play him. You have a legit 3-team race. I'm going to exclude the Bears for now. They have a whole offseason to figure that out. But they have a 3-team race, it seems like, for the NFC North. And you betting against Aaron? I don't think I am.
I was shocked where they ended up this year, so no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. So,
ready?
I'm always ready.
We got 4 games to go. Saturday, 4:30, NBC. Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars are traveling to Kansas City to play the Chiefs, AFC Divisional round. Fun fact, Trevor Lawrence, high school, college, NFL, never lost on a Saturday. This is Saturday, January 21st. Where are you going here?
First of all, the line's 8.5. I'm hammering the Jags plus 8.5. I like that a lot. I really, truly think this goes 2 ways. Jags win close. Chiefs by 17. There's part of me that thinks the Jags, the way they've played the last 8 weeks, looking at the team they are now, has every ability to play with this Chiefs team. They have a pass rush, decent defense, running game. They have weapons. Trevor Lawrence, after the 4 picks, been lights out. I don't expect him to throw that many picks again. I really like what the Jags are doing, and it's also muddled that I want to root for the Jags. But, we have Andy Reid on the sideline off of a bye. We have Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback. We have Travis Kelce, possibly the best route-running weapon in the NFL. We have Kadarius Toney, who's found his way. We have Juju, who's a good possession receiver. We have a good O-line. We have a defense that knows how to make plays timely. We are at Arrowhead. We're going to have plays we've never seen the Chiefs run without Tyreek Hill. This team's going to have guys running wide open. Patrick Mahomes is going to make plays. I love the Chiefs to win here. I love the Jags to cover. I look at a 27-20 Chiefs win. First of all, you're not holding the Chiefs under 24. Jags needed every bit of everything they had to muster up 31 against the Chargers. It's tough betting against the Chiefs. I've said it multiple times. I don't know how many times on air, but we've become numb to the Chiefs winning. We look up, and it's every week on Monday morning. We look at our phones or our laptops, Sports Center. How much did the Chiefs win by? Did they cover? They're 14-3. You know, we thought they would slip up. We wake up, they're 14-3. The division got so much tougher. We wake up, they're 14-3. Oh my gosh, Russell Wilson, Josh McDaniels, Raiders, Broncos. They're 16-0 on the road, all-time individual. Like, this team is a machine. You have to look at it as, would you bet against the Patriots with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick playing against the Jags? Because that's what these Chiefs are. Let's take the Chiefs. Let's be okay with it. I'm going to be rooting for the Jags on Saturday. I hope they pull it off, but I don't think they're going to.
I wish I knew the stat completely. I don't remember what the exact number was, if it was 4 or 6 or 7, but Patrick Mahomes basically, it's at least 7. It could be lower, though. Patrick Mahomes, when favored by X amount of points, and it's not like 3 or less. It's a good amount. It's like 4 to 7, somewhere in there. He covers at 22%. So I think the Jags the play here. No matter what, the Jags are the play. I will say this, they're coming off an emotional win. I don't like that for them. Andy Reid off a bye is almost unbeatable. I think he's lost like one time in his whole fucking career.
He's so good off of a bye.
It's stupid.
Might be number 1.
I think he's number 1 all time off of a bye win percentage, I think. Chiefs are the play to win and the money line here. And I like them to once again host the AFC Championship game. Whether or not it's at Arrowhead remains to be seen, because that could be a neutral site. But I do think the Chiefs win this game. They're the better team. They're just the better team. We talked last week that we like the Jags because of the head coach advantage. It's close. It's close, but the Chiefs have it this week. The quarterback advantage. You may think Trevor's improved. You may think he's great. He's probably top 5. He's not Patrick Mahomes. There's me applauding Patrick Mahomes. Apparently I don't do that enough, people say. So I like Mahomes in this spot. I would argue, as good as Trevor Lawrence is, the second best player on this field will be Travis Kelce. The 2 best players lining up play for the Chiefs. The best defensive player for both teams plays for the Chiefs. This feels like a Chiefs win. I'll take the Chiefs there.
I feel really good about plus 8.5 on the Jags, though. I'll just get it out there for the people. Maybe.
I do too. Which, by the way, the Chiefs have one of the worst pass defenses in the league. So if you're trying to bet some parlays, Trevor's going to have some numbers. He's going to have some numbers. Whether or not they win, that's a whole nother story.
Also, Chris Jones, the defender you're talking about, rushes from the inside. Brandon Sheriff's an all-pro guard on the inside. He's going to be there all day.
Yep.
Battle.
Next game, divisional game. The New York Football Giants coming off a big road win last week. They are 9-7-1. They are heading to Philly to play the Eagles, the number 1 seed in the NFC, on Saturday. So both 1 seeds will be in action on Saturday. 7.5 is the spread. It's 8:15 on Fox. Eagles have beaten the Giants both times this year by at least a score. Where are you going here?
So the Giants, I've given my props. If you've been with us this podcast the whole way here, you didn't skip ahead. Brian Daboll, Saquon Barkley, the team as a whole, I love it. But I'm back on my bullshit with these Eagles. I'm hammering minus 7.5. Everyone wants to look at the last 2 weeks. Well, look at the Gardner Minshew. I understand there's things to do, but I just think from a talent standpoint, the Eagles outmatched them. I think the Eagles have played as a team just as much as the Giants. I think they're at home. Not that I don't think the Giants can't do well, but the jump in difficulty of the Vikings defense to the Eagles defense in terms of what you're going to see as an offense, I look for the Giants to have some success. It's a divisional matchup. I don't think that this is just going to be a dog walk. But I think the Eagles are just going to be able to move the ball too. Miles Sanders is their starter. Boston Scott has like 7 career touchdowns versus the Giants. They used all their running backs very well. Dallas Goedert is now at full health. A.J. Brown poses a problem, a different problem, along with Devontae Smith. They just have so many weapons. I think this is just a game where it's a perfect spot for people who have forgotten the last 3 weeks of the bye and Jalen Hurts being hurt and Giants resting starters. We've kind of forgot what the Eagles are about. 34-21, 34-20. I like the Eagles by about 13 points here to just remind people who they are before they play the winner of the 49ers and Cowboys. If you want to give the Giants a better chance, I'll listen to it. Maybe they don't win by as much. But this is the first time in the playoffs I'll say I will be shocked if the Giants win this game. The Eagles should win this game.
Yeah, you picked the Giants last week. I did not.
5-1 last week. The Bucs were the only team I didn't hit on the spread, at least.
Yeah. I'm taking the Eagles. I don't feel good about it.
You haven't all year.
But dude, I don't feel good about this. Colin Cowherd brought something up on his pod or on his show the other day. And I'm a huge Colin guy. I listen to a lot of his opinions. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't. I mostly agree, or at least can hear out his opinions because he's pretty educated. He said something, and I've never heard a more home run take in my entire life. Every single time in the history of the Giants franchise, from day one to today, when they are good, they have a blueprint. It's not an identity of the 2023 season, the 2022 season, the 1990 season, the 1970 season. It's literally the identity of their franchise. They play great defense, they have a hard coach, and they run the football. It's what they're doing right now. With Eli Manning, both Super Bowl runs, people forget this, both Super Bowl runs 100% came on the road as a bottom seed. Dude, I'm telling you, this is a horrible spot for this Giants team. Giants win. This Giants team's not ready. They're not ready.
So Eagles win is what you're saying.
Did I say Giants win?
You said Giants win.
Eagles win. Giants play their ass off. 7.5 is too many. It's too many. It's too many. Not in a divisional game. Eagles win.
You know what the Giants are?
Hit me.
They're a great story, and they're a really good, solid team. But they finished third in their division. Because in their division is 2 of the best 4 teams.
I was going to say, they're 2 elite teams, man. Okay.
Exactly.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Okay.
No, they're 2 of the 5, 6 best teams in the NFL. And they're about to play one on the road. This is great for the Giants. They've gotten to the playoffs. They won a playoff game. They taste victory in what they can become. And now they're going to realize the gap they have to cover over the next 1 or 2 seasons to figure it out.
I just feel like you're speaking them as if they're dead, and I disagree.
Okay, you know what? I am. Okay, I don't think
you are. You are.
I don't think they can win. But the Eagles, I believe, after this season, they're going to have some changes, and I think they're going to decline a little bit. Kelsey, Lane Johnson might both be gone. We're going to have to see a lot of stuff on this team. And the Eagles and Giants, I think, are they're going to be much more level next season, I think. But this season is it's the Eagles season. Like the 49ers are the Cowboys. I'm going to put it out there right now. The Eagles are the 49ers, the Eagles, 49ers, and Cowboys. The 49ers and Cowboys are the only 2 teams I believe that can stop the Eagles.
In the NFL?
I'm not worried about the AFC. If the I think, honestly, I'm going to remove the Giants now. We can revisit this next Wednesday. The 49ers or the Eagles, I don't think need to worry about the AFC. If the Cowboys make the Super Bowl, I might take the AFC. That's how I feel about it. I think the Eagles and 49ers are the best two teams in the NFL.
Stop. Let me. Here we go. I'm gonna read 4 names. You ready?
Mahomes, Allen, Burrow.
No. Look, you already know. You already know where this is going. Every single team they would play in the AFC has a better quarterback. Than the entire NFC.
Let me just put it out there. You know, we're spitballing. We're going a little ahead, but this is what the pod's about right here. I would take Mahomes or Burrow. I'm not even going to say Allen because he can't beat the Chiefs and the Bengals. Forget about it. The Bengals or the Chiefs, those are the two teams that will represent the AFC. The rosters are so overpowering. You know what? If I could make the bet right now, I might look it up. I'd put $100 on the NFC taking home the Super Bowl. And I would be okay with it. Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, you're fucking high, Brad. It's the whole roster. We talked
about that.
That's the story of the Super Bowl. I don't even care who makes this point. It's a story of the Super Bowl. Roster versus head coach quarterback. Roster versus quarterback, maybe even. Not that the other teams don't have good rosters. I think the Bills have the best roster, but again, I've already mentioned it's going to have to be perfect. I think the Bengals or the Chiefs are going to be the team to represent. Maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, but everybody who's listened to this podcast, everyone who's a loyal listener knows I've been on the Eagles. They've been in my Super Bowl since before the season. And this is an opportunity for the Giants to overexceed again, or it's a chance for the Eagles to say, hey, don't forget about like who we are. We had the first seed wrapped up week 12. Our quarterback got a minor shoulder injury. Like, I can't wait for
We're good. Next game, the Cincinnati Bengals are heading to Buffalo to play the Bills. This game obviously is famous for the Monday Nighter injury to Mar Hamlin. Those teams are going to finally do battle for 60 minutes, 3 o'clock on Sunday, CBS. I'll start. The team that was going to win that game that night was the Bengals. And they're going to win this one too. They're going to be a little beat up on the offensive line. It's going to be an issue. But Buffalo's beat up on the defensive line. They've been out without Von Miller. They don't get the same pass rush. Bengals, they're too much offensively. The Bills turn the ball over offensively. I like the Bengals here to win and head to wherever they need to head for the AFC.
5.5 points is a joke.
It's disrespectful.
It's a joke.
It's a disrespectful line to the Bengals.
Brad, the Bengals' offensive line's banged up.
Don't care.
It's still better than the Dolphins.
Yeah.
You taking Skylar Thompson or Joe Burrow with no legs?
Yep.
Because my order goes Joe Burrow, Joe with no legs, Skylar Thompson. Okay?
That's the quote of the year. That's the pod.
They have no answer for this receiving core. They were walking up and down the field. Maybe the Bills were. I almost get so frustrated because these teams are so close. I feel so passionate for the Bengals. I'm almost so mad at the Bills because they were so magically crowned before the season. We knew they were going to be good, but they were just untouchable, right? They were just you have
this weird hate for the Bills all of a sudden. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
It comes from the preseason prediction that they were the Super Bowl favorites. They shouldn't have.
They were DeMar Hamlin falling on the field from potentially being the number 1 seed, and you're giving them a lot of unnecessary hate.
I am, sure. It's unnecessary.
They literally were the number 1 seed going into that Monday Night Football game. They were down 7-3.
And they were going to lose, Jeff.
They were down 7-3. I thought they were going to lose 2, but they were down 7-3.
Might as well have been 70-3. I was watching.
We saw a team come back from 33-0 in a regular season game and 27-0 in a playoff game. That game was far from over with my boy Josh Allen on the field.
I'm not saying the Bills are dead. The Bills are a great team with a magnificent quarterback and a tremendous roster. I just don't like how they lose to the Chiefs in the playoffs. The Bengals make the Super Bowl, and they're just anointed favorites in the entire NFL. I just didn't like that. I'm
cutting you off real quick. You already forgot how disappointed you were that they lost on a coin flip last year.
It was disappointing. I'm not disappointed that they lost. I'm just disappointed that that's how games end.
Yeah, but at the same token, that team was a coin flip away from potentially going to the Super Bowl. They obviously would have had to beat the Bengals still. You have gone off the wagon on the Bills, and I'm not sure why.
Because I loved Josh Allen. Without Brian Daboll, he is not the Josh Allen that I loved. He's now the Josh Allen I like. He's the Josh Allen I like. I loved the Bills with maximum potential Josh Allen. He has taken a step back. He turns the ball over too much. He makes plays where he's scrolling out right, tells John Brown to run an extra 20 yards, and underhand scoops it 40 yards for a touchdown. I love that stuff. But I also hate when they're up in a game I bet on them, and Josh Allen with one arm on his throws it 7 yards to a linebacker with no Bills around. When Brian Daboll left, Josh Allen lost a part of they just lost so much. And I think Josh Allen needs coaching, but with coaching can be the best. But he's lost that. And I like Burrow and Mahomes better. And the fact that he lost to the Chiefs, be it on a nonsense call, and then the Bengals made the Super Bowl and lost on one play, for them to be anointed favorites, then Micah Hyde goes down, then his backup goes down, Tre'Davious White's coming off of an injury, they lose Von Miller, their offensive line is iffy, they have no real running game outside of Josh Allen, and they're like, me and Stephon Diggs got this. Gabe Davis is coming. I know they're still a good team, but the Bengals and Chiefs are better, and they're going to have to beat both of them to make the Super Bowl. So with where this prediction started with the Eagles or 49ers or Cowboys making it, for my opinion, in my mind, they're playing the Bengals or Chiefs, which means the NFC would have a better roster but inferior quarterback. Let's get that out of the way. The three best quarterbacks in the league are in the AFC right now, and they're all still alive in the playoffs. That got a little heated, but we
agree 50%.
No, I know.
We both think the Bengals are winning this weekend.
Correct.
I disagree. I think the Bills are better than the Chiefs. Just throwing that out there. Both teams beat the Chiefs. You quickly forgot that somehow, some way. This Bills team, as bad as everybody says, as bad as Nick Wright says, as bad as you're making them seem, they were the number one seed before DeMar Hamlin fell down on the field, and they were the same team that beat Kansas City this year, and the same team that lost on a coin flip to Kansas City in the playoffs. I still got the Bengals to win this weekend. With all that, I got the Bengals winning. We argued a lot.
The AFC's just such good teams. I mean, both the AFC and NFC. The Giants and Jags feel like a little bit of outcasts in a sea of giants. But they could, Giants, that's funny. But it's just like, they could do it. By the way, to sum up this little Eagles win. Okay, I got the Eagles.
Oh, gosh. Here we go. Last game. Divisional weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend. We just gave you 3 different games. We got the last one. Dallas Cowboys, beating up on Brady and Tampa, are traveling to the 49ers to play Big Cock Brock. Dude, Brock Purdy and the Niners favored by 3.5. This game is at 6:30 on Fox. Yeah, I told you. Sorry, at B-Dubs, we were watching the game. I told you that I liked the Cowboys' chances or the Bucs' chances going into San Francisco. I liked the Cowboys' chances more than I liked the Bucs' chances, but I liked both teams because there's something that nobody's done to the Niners since Brock Purdy's become the quarterback. And do you remember what that was? What I told you?
Pressure.
Nobody's made him uncomfortable. Not one team. Cowboys make him uncomfortable. This is going to be a dogfight, dude. 3.5. I think it's perfectly priced because I think the Cowboys cover that 3.5. I also have them as an outright dog. I think the Cowboys, after taking 30 years to do it again back-to-back weeks. I think they go on the road to San Francisco and they beat the 49ers. Dak Prescott, the way he played last week, this momentum can carry. They needed to get the monkey off their back of winning a road playoff game, winning a playoff game in general. They needed that. They got it. I told you last week on episode 200, if the Cowboys won one playoff game, they'd be scary and my team to potentially go to the Super Bowl. That's where I'm at. I think the Cowboys beat the Niners. The Niners are great, but you can't tell me that a rookie quarterback can't be pressured. I know they have Trent Williams. Dude, Micah Parsons can get himself in there. Lawrence can get himself in there. They can dial up the blitz with Dan Quinn. Give me the Cowboys on the road. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, the Cowboys definitely have the ability to make Brock Purdy uncomfortable. But they're going to be in a hot mess when they still can't. I don't think they do. I think that the 49ers have unique ability to have 7 receivers, yet 7 offensive linemen on the field. George Kittle is the 6th offensive lineman. Kyle Juszczyk can be that way. Christian McCaffrey is a nightmare for linebackers not named Micah Parsons. Deebo Samuel's still on this team. Brandon Ayuk. But not to mention that, the 49ers defense struggled and was mid all year. They couldn't figure out their interior D-line. Their secondary wasn't great. This 49ers defense first in, 78 different categories in the NFL. Brock Purdy's going to be working with short fields. Field goals are okay. Now, you can play devil's advocate to what we were playing earlier. Brett Maher isn't coming off his most confidence performance ever. Every point's going to count in this game. You're in San Francisco on a team coming off the bye. And Brock's never been uncomfortable. I don't know if it's because defenses can't do that. It's because there's so much talent. His job's so simple. His job is so simple. I think the 49ers roster is overpowering, and we've brought this up. All quarterbacks who have done tremendous in their NFL have been asked in college to make their team better. They've never come from perfect situations and molded directly into the NFL. At least that's how I've seen it. All the time we talk about Big 12. Oh, they're playing Iowa State this week. That's a free win. Well, they got Brock Purdy, so don't write off Iowa State. He's come in. He hasn't even been bailed out. He's dominated. He's taken full control of this roster. I'm not writing the Cowboys off. We're in the final 8 of the NFL season, and the Cowboys have won 12 games. Let's not joke around. But when you talk about a defense, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Kyle Juszczyk, it's the best left tackle in the game. Trent Williams, this team is just a problem offensive and defensively. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, the 49ers defense is overpowering. I'm going to say something crazy here. What makes Dak better than Brock? That we've seen him longer?
He is better than Brock Purdy.
Okay.
It's hard to argue. But
right now, if you made a list of the best quarterbacks in the NFL or in the playoffs left, Purdy and Dak are going to be touching each other. Now, obviously, that gets broader.
By default.
Right. That gets broader when you bring in the whole NFL. But if you were to say, hey, it's 2025 and Brock's been the starter now for a couple years in the 49ers, isn't it the same thing we thought Dak should have been doing? Hey, you have a run game, an elite offensive line, and a great defense on your rookie contract. Dak went 13-3. Brock's doing the same thing, except he's just winning in the postseason. After Dak got paid, the team fell apart, and now we're starting to see, Dak turns the ball over.
The team never fell apart. That's a false narrative.
Dak's got
a false narrative.
I think it isn't.
How did he get worse this year?
Because
they won 12 games. They're in the playoffs.
They won 12 games, and 4 of them were Cooper Kupp.
And he traded arguably his best receiver away.
Was it their best receiver?
Amari Cooper?
CeeDee Lamb?
Come on.
Amari Cooper's been overrated.
Fred, you're not being fair here, dude.
No, I'm saying in 3 years, Brock Purdy, if he starts the next 2 years, what is the big separator from Dak and Brock? I don't think there will be one.
First off, I mean, we need to see what those 2 years look like.
Who would you rather have, Mike McCarthy or Kyle Shanahan?
I think it's closer than what you're giving it up to be.
I think the quarterback controversy is closer than you think it is.
I'm not necessarily disagreeing, but you're making it seem like
I'm stronger in my point, I guess, what I'm saying. You're saying the line's perfect. I'd double the 49ers and still take it. I think 49ers by 10.
Interesting.
I think 49ers at home, 28-17 isn't crazy. 27-17. I don't think the Cowboys hit 21 on the 49ers. I think 49ers are working with short fields. I think Dak's over his head. The game plan's simplified because they have so many weapons for Brock. We're always going to disagree on this. I'm always strongly against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I love this 49ers team. I think we're looking at 49ers, Eagles, Bengals, Chiefs. You tell me what you got.
Chiefs, Bengals, Eagles, Cowboys.
So Cowboys and 49ers is the only game outcome we disagree on.
Yeah, but I think it almost seems like there's a couple teams you're not giving them a chance, and I could easily see all 4 road teams winning this weekend. Like that's
to be fair, the Giants are the only team I'm not giving a chance.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm giving the Cowboys a chance. I'm just so
the Niners beating them by 10.
Yeah, I'm almost dialing it back to not create too much of a controversy because I don't have like statistics and stuff to back it up. I've just seen what I saw. The 49ers they're better than the Cowboys. Period. That's how I see it. And a lot of people will be like, Cowboys are just as good, if not better. And to me, I think that's blasphemy. And I'll be wrong, and my bank account on FanDuel will show it because I'm hammering the 49ers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, the bet that I think I'm putting in this weekend, I'm going to alter the spread. I got Cowboys covering 6.5.
That's not a bad bet. I feel very good about mine, but like,
I like the Cowboys by a score
Cowboys
this
could
weekend.
Win this game. Like I said, I'm not writing them off, but
I think an underrated thing is this Levi Stadium in San Francisco. It's not LA, but it's Cowboy North. It's going to be a lot of Cowboys. I just think this is I can't wait for this game. First off, I literally cannot wait for this game. I think it's the best game of the weekend of all and that's saying something because, dude, Burrow and Josh Allen are going at it, but this is the best game of the weekend. This is the best game of the weekend. Yes. Big Cock Brock and Dakota Prescott, as you like to call him. Dude, this is a fun pod. We've disagreed a lot. We've argued a lot.
So I'll put it this way. Let me think of a number real quick. I'm trying to think of a number we'll disagree on because I think I take the over and you take the under. I'm going to put it at 28.5. 27.5. 27.5 over under. The point differential of all 4 games combined this weekend.
Oh.
I'm taking the over. I think the Eagles and 49ers slap.
Yeah, I disagree.
You're taking the under. You think it's going to be like a total of 17 points separating all 4 teams, right?
I wouldn't be shocked if it was a total of 12.
I think the Cowboys and the Eagles are already putting it at 20.
Is that a bet you can make?
I'm sure somebody's got it somewhere, but I
like that bet. We're going to post it on the Facebook page.
I think Chiefs by 5, Eagles by 10, 49ers by 10, Bengals by 4. We're looking at about 31-point differential. You think they're all under 7-point differentials, which would put you at the under. But
every single one.
I think 25.5, 27.5, that'd be a fun number to.
The only game that has the potential to get out of hand, in my opinion, is the Eagles-Giants. Because while the Giants are a great story, they're a great team, they don't, it is divisional. I do think the Eagles are much better than the Giants.
You know what's crazy? Because I don't think 10 points is out of hand. Right? I think like 17.
I would agree.
17 points.
17, 21, 24, that's out of hand.
I really think as strong as I've been, the only game that has the chance to be out of hand, I think the first game, Chiefs could bury the Jaguars.
I could see that.
The Chiefs could just bury the Jaguars. Could you see the Chiefs coming out and at halftime they've scored on all 5 drives? Field goals or touchdowns.
Yeah, I could. But and a lot of people are gonna laugh at this. I'm not joking you. I could see the Jags getting up 30-0 on the Chiefs.
30.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying it wouldn't shock me to see the Jaguars continue a hot streak, and all of a sudden the Chiefs are like, "Holy shit, we just got slapped in the mouth."
30-0.
See that? Crazy, okay. No, 30. I should have said 30-0, but 21-0 to start the. I could see that.
Yeah, 30-0
strong. 30-0 is nuts.
Chiefs, Eagles, Bengals, 49ers, the 1 versus 3 seed and the 1 versus 2 seed. That's my prediction for conference champions.
Yeah, and I got Eagles, Cowboys, and I got Chiefs and Bengals.
Yeah, so Cowboys, 49ers is the only difference in outcome. Maybe me and you put a little $20 Venmo in there.
I don't know, because I'm already betting the 6.5.
I'll give you the 6.5.
You can't give me the 6.5 because I'm taking the Cowboys to cover 6.5.
Yeah, I'll take 49ers minus 6.5.
I'll give you the. I have the Cowboys covering minus 6.5. They're covering a touchdown.
Oh, you think they're going to win by a touchdown?
Yes.
All right, you take Cowboys minus 6.5. I'll take 49. No. You got Cowboys minus 6.5. I have 49ers 6.5. If it's somewhere in between there, push.
Deal.
$20 on a 7-point plus
Deal.
Victory either way.
49. Deal. We did that for the Super Bowl a couple years ago.
Hey, it was a good game. I got 49. So the only game we disagree on the outcome, it's by 14-point separation. What?
You have no faith in Prescott, and I have all the faith that the pressure will get to Brock Purdy for once. I think that's where we differ.
Big cock Brock to open the segment. Ain't no pressure. Dude, if there's pressure, he's applying it. This is Brock Purdy. This is Mr. Relevant. This is his year.
I did.
Maybe not. The AFC's pretty tough. I'm just saying. I also stand by it. I have the NFC winning the Super Bowl. I'm comfortable with that.
I need to see the matchup because there's too many variables. I don't think the NFC is better than the AFC, but I do. I'm sorry, but if the Cowboys are playing the Jags, I'm taking the Cowboys. Which is the NFC. But if the Giants get to the NFC and they're going against the Bengals, sorry, I'm taking the Bengals. Like,
Giants are a better team. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, we're ending this pod. Holy shit. This thing's gone sideways.
I'm just kidding.
Way too much twisted tea.
No, Giants ain't getting out of this weekend.
Maybe. Mm-mm. If I had balls, I'd take them, but I don't.
So. Yeah, exactly. Tuck them boys up, invert them, cover the hole with a Band-Aid. It'd be good.
Anything else?
Go Penguins. Go Mavs. Put the account. Parlay those two together. They're winning. Drop the account on it.
Look it up. Luka's up against Atlanta tonight. He drove to the stadium in a 6-wheel Jeep. Check it out.
He's a GOAT.
Yeah. This is the most we've ever argued on a pod. All in good fun. This is why we're here, to disagree and discuss. Go ahead.
For those of you listening, if you listen right when it comes out, or maybe just for you, Jeff, tonight, I'll give you my 5 locks.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Mavs -2. Might be 2.5. It's fluctuated all day.
I like that.
Mavs winning. Miami Heat at the Pelicans. Pelicans +3. I like them to cover, maybe win outright at home.
Feels right.
Penguins at the Senators. Penguins money line. Boston Bruins, doesn't matter who they're playing in hockey. Take them to win money line. And lastly, player combos. Luka Doncic. Teams have been lately doubling and tripling him constantly to see if the Mavs can win without him. So I will not take his points, rebounds, assists combo, but I will take rebounds plus assists over 18.5.
Feels right.
I'll take that combo. Leave out the points. Those are my 5 locks of the night.
I love them. Anything else?
Nope. Good luck to your teams, guys. If you're looking forward to the draft, looking forward to other sports, good luck. Andrew McCutcheon signed with the Pirates. I mean, they're winning the World Series. Yeah, good pod.
The divisional round is arguably the greatest weekend in football. And if it's not that weekend, it's Conference Sunday, which is next weekend. So enjoy.
Sucks, man.
Football's almost over.
It's been like 6 years since the Steelers have been in this weekend.
Oh, yeah, it's tough.
By the way, Tomlin's the guy. Quit. Everybody quit it.
You guys, enjoy your weekend. We're out.
Real talk.
Real talk.